Dudes, it's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So today we're covering one of the strongest secondary weapons in all of Warframe, the Lex Prime Incarnon. This thing is great for clearing out hallways and doing tons and tons of crit damage. It's especially strong against Acolytes on the Steel Path. We'll be covering a build for clearing out these high-level enemies with ease in this video. Before we get into it though, make sure to sub this channel with daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, news videos, all that kind of stuff. You're like place Warframe content. We'll cover the weekly reset tomorrow. We've also got some coverage on Gamescom on Tuesday. Probably not a ton of Warframe stuff, but there's some stuff for the new season of Fallout, and I think even like Resident Evil 2. So come on, stop the live stream if you haven't already. Alright, so Lex Incarnon, the Bane of the Acolytes. Why is this thing so good? What should you use it for, and more? Well, if you can see in the footage right now, it's really, really good for Acolytes. It's basically kind of a cheat code against Acolytes. If you know where they're going to spawn at, you can one-tap them F-spawn, and they can't really fight back at all. So, as far as why it's so good for Acolytes, it has extremely high damage and crit. And Acolytes are very easy to destroy with high crit weapons like the Lex. And this is probably one of the best pistols in the game for killing Acolytes, for that matter. It's also got a good hitbox too. So let's get right into what this thing is all about in the simulacrum. So here we are, and the Lex Prime pistol is I basically call it a sniper pistol, but it's a semi-auto pistol that has very good range and very good recoil reduction, it seems like too. So after some headshots with a semi-auto pistol, we can use the Incarnon form if you have the Incarnon adapter. Incarnon form is similar-ish to the primary shot, but it becomes a much wider hitbox and also gets some higher stats too. So we can even buff it up more to get red crits with this thing, and even throw on Nourish for viral and corrosive. So now that we've done that, we can just easily wipe out enemies with this big Arcoplasmor shot. Multiple million damage easily with these kinds of buffs. 5 million damage. Now this is with no riven. You throw out a riven, you can expect another like 5 or 6 million damage per bullet. Now as far as the Incarnon perks and the Lex and what you can do to replicate a build like this, we are on the Lex Prime, obviously. There is a Lex Normal, but I don't think anyone's even used the normal Incarnon. But yeah, as far as the Incarnon form, like I said, a radiation wave will be created after you get some headshots, and it has built-in punch through as well. It's basically an Arcoplasmor. Additionally, it also has a forced impact proc, so if you use the hemorrhage mod, you can get slash procs out of that Arcoplasmor shot too. But with the builds we're showing today, you should really kill most things in one hit anyway, no DOTs required. As far as our Incarnon perks on here, we got Hoplite Virtue. Increases your base damage by 20, but when your shield breaks, you get plus 80 damage for 8 seconds. So you get a lot of extra damage when your shield breaks. So when you're at really high levels, a build like we're showing today with the Nova is very, very strong. Additionally, the other choice is going to be Trusty Sidearm with giving you 20 base damage when you have a channel ability active. You get increased ammo efficiency. Very, very not very good for what we're doing right here. Definitely go for Hoplite Virtue. Whenever your shield breaks, you get crazy damage, and you also just get that damage bonus all the time. For Tier 3, as far as the perk options, you got them as follows. Lex Talionis. On headshot, increased accuracy and also reduced recoil, stacking up to 4 times, 20% per stack. If you feel like you're needed, if you feel like this is useful, I didn't find it very useful in practice, so I'd say go for extended volley instead, increasing your base magazine capacity by 10. This thing only has 8 in the magazine normally, so this over doubles your magazine, so very, very good. And the last option is Ready Retaliation, giving increased reload speed and you reload from empty. So, there you go. And then for the last tier of perks, Critical Parallel is definitely the best choice, giving crit chance and crit damage, but you also got Elemental Balance and Executioner's Dawn, giving headshot damage for 4 seconds on equip, if you want to do that instead. This thing gets a really, really good crit upgrade from that, so I would not recommend you go with that. As far as the build on the Lex, here is my no riven build for doing what I'm basically doing right there. When you saw that one shot of the Acolyte, it was this build right here. So the big things on here are, I want to mention something really quickly. There is a mod you can throw out here called Semi-Pistol Cannonade that gives you a huge chunk of damage, and it's actually more useful than Galvanized Shot a lot of the time. But here's the issue. It locks your fire rate, and this thing has horrifyingly bad fire rate without a fire rate mod. So let's just show it what it would look like if we didn't mod the fire rate at all, because we have Lethal Torrent on here. So we have a 2 base fire rate before any fire rate mods, but look at this. A 0.67 fire rate if you don't mod the fire rate. So I'm going to show you how slow it really is. It is very, very slow feeling. So I would highly recommend you mod for fire and don't run semi-pistol. But I did do a level 10,000 run with semi-pistol as well. The footage is not in this video. It's still strong. It feels so slow. Yeah, a lot higher upfront damage. But look at how slow this is to fire. That's me holding down the trigger as fast as possible. So it does hit really hard with this mod. But if you're, again, you have to be okay with that kind of fire rate if you do want to use that mod. Versus what we had before, where you could basically just spam the entire magazine down instantly. So again, that'll be a personal preference to you, but you know, I want to make sure I let you know that I did try it out. As far as what we got on the build, though, now that we've got our normal fire rate of 3.33 and 1.07 with what we got on here, we've got galvanized diffusion for a bunch of multi-shot, galvanized shot for a bunch of damage, like basically conditioned overload for guns. Again, you could run semi-pistol, or you could run semi-pistol instead, or maybe even Hornet Strike if you wanted to. But for me, I like using this because they do have a lot of proxima a lot of the time. Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot with the multi-shot mod, galvanized diffusion, and lethal torrent. We have 290% multi-shot, I believe it is. Well, 390% multi-shot if you include the base of hundo. So that's a lot of shots. If you have a multi-shot riven, you can even take it further. But again, we're not using rivens in this video. Okay, so Enervate's not very good on the Lex because it has such high base crit chance. We have 126 with that. The primary shot 155 of the Incarnon. If you throw on hot shot like I have on here, you get like another 120% crit chance. So you're good to go with red crits. I would not recommend that you really go Enervate. But yeah, pistol, prime pistol, gambit, and prime target cracker, some of the best crit mods you can get for pistols. We also got magnetic might. Very good in Void Cascade with all those enemies that have overguard. This will make enemies overguard debuffed, also gives you more crit damage, and also the enemy's overguard will explode and electric proc when it is destroyed. So very, very good. And as far as the element we have on here, we've got Toxin, 90% elemental pathogen rounds, and Prime Convulsion giving corrosive damage. Acolytes are very weak to corrosive damage, and they're also very weak to crits. So we're doing a perfect anti-Acolyte setup right here. You don't need Prime Steady Hands on here. You can do normal Steady Hands, but I do have a recoil increase riven, so technically for me it is useful to have Prime Steady Hands. So as far as this build, this is great for clearing out most enemies in the game, and of course you can replace some of these mods with like a different mod if you felt like it. Let's move on to another build here. We have a build using the Hemorrhage mod. I did state this earlier, that this mod does work to give you some slash procs, some of your impact procs. Let's go ahead and show how that works in the sim. We're actually fighting against Corrupted here, so let's throw on Bane of the Oracle. Now, this is another type of build you could run on this thing. Do keep in mind, though, if you are running a situation like this, you want to make sure your fire rate on the Incarnon shot is below 2.5, because with Hemorrhage, your slash proc chance is doubled when your fire rate is below 2.5. And you might be like, hey, look, you have the wrong build on, Gaz. The fire rate's over 2.5 right here. The thing is, the fire rate of the Incarnon form and the primary shot are very, very different. So we scroll down here. The fire rate's only 1.07, even with the fire rate mod. You're good to go with Hemorrhage. So you can basically throw on multiple fire rate mods and still have Hemorrhage good to go with the whole proc stuff. So let's go ahead and summon them back in. I have Outburst on right now, so that hopefully is not going to be a problem. Okay. So as you can see right there, there was a slash proc. Look at them, over 1 million damage slash proc. So you could totally rock that if you want to. But again, most of these builds should be one-shotting these guys up front. And again, this is with a riven too. So the riven makes a big damage difference. I would recommend, if you do want to use the Lex in the long run, get a riven with crit stats, toxin. Really, ideally, a riven that replaces pathogen rounds would be great. Like basically like this, toxin, multi-shot, CD, and then like a negative that's better than this one is very, very helpful. You look at the build, basically the exact same mod, just better. We get more multi-shot, we get more CD, we get a lot more toxin. I would highly recommend you get something like this if you do want to rock this in the long run. But yeah, again, this is really strong. Now, as far as some weaknesses for the Lex, let's talk about some weaknesses of the Lex right now, because I've been really saying it's good, haven't I? Now, as far as the weaknesses of the Lex, if you run semi-pistol cannonade, it is very slow. I would not recommend to use it as your main like AoE add clear weapon. This should be like your elite enemy slayer. Like, yes, it can take on a hallway of enemies, but to put it in perspective, if you have like the Torrid equipped or whatever, that can clear out hallways a lot faster than this thing can. This thing is good for like clearing out like one line of enemies, then like maybe another line of enemies like a few moments later. It's really not your main AoE add clear. Really good for elite enemies, like I said. Some other weaknesses as well. Is that this thing is very, very headshot reliant. Like, if there's like a sea of enemies you're just jumping into, you need to get some headshots to get the Incarnon form. That could be a little bit annoying. So, yeah, headshot reliance, like most Incarnons, relatively, not that hard to deal with, but if you're just trying to, like, run and gun through a mission, I'd recommend the Icarius over this for sure. So that being said, I do highly recommend the Lex as an anti-Acolyte weapon for you, or maybe just an anti-Thrax weapon for that matter too. It's good. It's pretty good in Disruption, but I think that honestly the Dual Talk's better in Disruption. So yeah, I put this thing at A tier on my tier list, and I do think that's appropriate as it has some downsides to it, mostly the clunkiness and slowness of this weapon, but the damage per shot is definitely there. So hope you guys found this video fun, helpful. I do record all these videos live on stream, so make sure to sub to the live stream if not already, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Peace.